basically ambushed me this morning and asked me to come here, so I did not have this slide. So all of you want to be filmmakers, am I correct? Do you all want to be filmmakers? Or you want to learn from it? But do you know anything about the filmmaking world?
Yes.
You do? Okay. So how about you tell me, I'd like up to like 10 people to tell me the jobs that are in the filmmaking world. You know, the jobs you heard about, for instance, the writer, things like that. So, okay.
The cameraman shoots the movie.
Okay, no, just one person. One person. Okay, cameraman.
Yes.
Thank you so much. The scriptwriter, wonderful.
Executive producer.
Sorry?
Executive producer.
Awesome.
Is that designer?
Beautiful.
The editor. Innovation manager.
Who is that now? I did not point to Innovation South. Writing director. Interesting. But we call them gaffers. They're called gaffers. And it's not really cameraman, it's called DOP, that's the director of photography. Yes, please.
Executive producer.
Beautiful, but someone already said, do you have another word? Director, awesome. Sorry? Interesting. So those ones will be what? Actors, I mean? Okay, everybody is correct. And which means I really should, why do you bring me here? We're all, clap for yourself. So, basically what I do in the film world, does anybody know Film House? Oh, you know Film House. So I work with Film House. How about that? Exactly. So when I was back when I went to watch the film at the cinemas. Okay, I'm basically a writer, a director, and a producer. But for Film One, I work as a content development producer. So which means I handle content from start to finish. So which means every content that comes through Film One is my baby. Means I have to take care of it, watch it grow until it reaches you, who is the consumer. Right. So in recent times, what is your favorite Nigerian film, Hollywood film? I don't want to say it's called Hollywood film, because right now, we are big people in the game as well. Okay? Please give us a round of applause. Okay, so what Hollywood film? The King's Husband. Beautiful. It's not even out yet, so I'm impressed that you know it. Sorry, no, I mean. Yes! Sorry?
That is that.
I don't like noise, really. I don't like noise. If you want to say something, just raise your hand. What do you say? King of Kings, beautiful. King of Boys. I mean, I wonder why I'm even here. It feels like, oh, we're ready to play. King, sorry? Beautiful, but that's a reality show, or yes, of course. Sorry? Okay, one last please. concept. So, for instance, if you have an idea, the processes that lead to the point where you actually have this skill meet the consumers, right? So basically, script to screen. The first thing you do, if you want to get an idea from script to screen, first of all, if you want to move your film from script to screen, the first thing you do is to come up with the concept, and that is usually the ideation stage. So, you know what, let somebody give us an idea that they probably have in their heads, and we will take that idea back here from where it has become, from what it is, to what it should be. That's what we'll do here. Okay? And at the end of the day, I'm going to ask you a few questions. Wow. And anybody who gets the question right will get a few bits from the Lagos Enterprise, Basic Enterprise. Okay? 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 So I want one person to give us an idea of a film idea, then we'll develop it here. Anybody? The film, your own, no, I don't want something you watch. Just give us an idea. So this is an ideation stage. Yes, please.
Movie like revenge.
Revenge. Okay. So who is taking the revenge and why is that person taking the revenge?
Let's assume a woman, one family and another family. Let's assume they have a battleground. Then they begin to kill each children in the family. But when it got to a stage, let's assume one family is more powerful than the other one. They could not be the last person in the family. Because let's just say because she's a good Christian. So she's prayerful. So when they were able to kill her.
Basically, two families fighting.
Yes, fighting.
Awesome.
League of Gods.
League of what?
League of Gods.
League of Gods. That's a film that is already produced, right?
Me,
Oh, you just made it awesome.
like let's say maybe like gods or immortal humans are the tournaments in a particular place. So the winner has to get control of the world.
Okay. Interesting. Nice. Okay, one more idea. Hello. Easy. I want to say one, so if I can.
If we have more students here than the teacher, I would have preferred something like that has to do with drug abuse.
Okay.
We are here to learn, and I want them to learn. You know, let's say what we have all around us now is being one way or the other. Many of our students, even to the higher institutions, they are not into drugs. So I think I want something related to that so that our younger ones here will learn that there is more problem to it than the game.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'll share something about drug abuse. Like, let's say, the family, maybe one of their child is in school, like higher institution. So she's in school, and maybe some of her friends they try to learn into drug abuse, and maybe she wants to join it or something. So they always say that drug abuse, that there's nothing bad in it. So maybe she It's not even reporting to a counselor, asking a counselor for counsel, and maybe at the end of the day, all those students that were learning that maybe they caught them at the end, and maybe they failed their work, and they got other chances.
Interesting. Okay, well, those are all very beautiful ideas. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to take every single person's idea. But these are all very beautiful ideas, right? And I'm going to, any idea you have currently, I'm going to show you how to take it from the idea that currently is to say the script and even to script. So the first thing you should do when you have an idea is, when you first get an idea, you'll probably say, what if we have two families who are fighting? What if we have a family whose child is a drug addict and they're trying to, take her to they're trying to wash her up and things like that. What if you have a league of gods who are fighting, and at the end of the day, you have to take, one person has to rule the world. All of those are ideas. Am I correct? So what you then want to do is take that idea make that idea a story. So now, because you have friends amongst you, what you could do is say, oh, I have this idea, is it possible for us to develop it? Right? Then you start looking at things like the characters. You start doing character development. So character development is, for instance, we have a boy, his name is BC. A boy, his name is Bola. Am I right? Okay. So what is Bola's full name? But maybe Bola's name is Bola. So you give him the full name, right? Then you say Bola is how old? Say Bola is 25 years old, right? So you then look at Bola before you met him at 25. So maybe before you met him at 25, maybe at 1 year old, maybe Bola was a child who was born prematurely, right? Then you trace that to his childhood. Maybe he didn't have such a wonderful childhood, and you're trying to build a story around, say you're trying to build a story around drug abuse, right? And maybe his childhood wasn't the best. Maybe he had an abusive parent, or he had very supportive parents. All of those things are the things that you need to consider when building the story idea, right? Because whatever you give that character, you need to understand that when you're writing, or when you're doing something, when you're producing a film, you are literally the god of that idea. So you have to control it. As writers, we kill characters every time, we send characters this way, we do this to this character, but all of those things have rules. Every single thing we do in the story world has rules. And before you break that rule, you need to know that rule. Everybody with me? Am I confused? Are you learning anything so far? Okay. So the first thing you do is build your characters. If I catch you talking, you come and take over. Right? Okay? If I catch you talking next time, you come and take over. So when you're building these characters, take a look at their childhood, take a look at their weaknesses, take a look at their strengths. Take a look at their idiosyncrasies. So idiosyncrasies are things that set one character apart from the other character. So I know these characters are humans as well. So for instance, an idiosyncrasy could be the fact that maybe I have a mark on my hand. That is an idiosyncrasy. An idiosyncrasy could be the way a person walks. An idiosyncrasy could be the way a person talks. Do you understand? So if, for instance, I walk like this, that's an idiosyncrasy because that is how to differentiate me from another character. So you build the characters that way. You build their weaknesses, build their strengths. Now, if we are working with an ideation story idea that is say for instance, like you said, a family that has a child who is a drug addict. So you build that child who is a character, and then you build the parents of that child. How they relate with that child. For instance, let's use blood sisters. What are the names of those two girls again? Sarah and who? Sarah and Kenny. So, the build-up of those two characters is the fact that Sarah and Kenny have been very close friends. They're not sisters, but the relationship between them is close to that of a sister bond. In fact, they are sisters, right? So that is how to build characters and relationships. I don't know if I'm getting somewhere. Yes. So first you build your characters, then you go back to the plot of that story. So what do you want to happen in the plot of that story? The first thing you do is you introduce your characters. Which one is that? Phones on silent please. When we actually do this one, we usually say phones on silent. So first of all, you introduce your story world. You introduce the story world. The story world could be Lagos. Or maybe your story world in Lagos could be what? Your story world in Lagos could be Ikoyi. But at the same time, you can build a story world that nobody has seen before. Am I getting anywhere? Yes. If you lose me anywhere, just call me back and I'll explain. Okay? Okay? Please. So, this story idea that we have now, the first thing you do is you introduce your protagonist or your antagonist, basically your character, however you want to start. There's something we call an inciting incident. So an inciting incident is that's one event that changes the course of things for your characters. So for instance, the first time you introduce your characters, everybody's kumbaya. Maybe you introduce Bola. Bola is a great guy, he's in school, he's doing beautiful things, he's passing his exams, and then Bola meets Iroko. Maybe he meets this guy whose name is Iroko, or whose name is Farouk. Sorry, not Farouk. Who is Farouk here? Not you. Okay. Or he meets somebody who is not good for him. He meets a friend who probably does drugs. So that is an inciting incident, right? In fact, I could even go further and say the fact that they are meeting is not an inciting incident, but what Bola decides to do. So if, for instance, say next, let's call this other guy next. So next meets Bola and says, Bola, how are you doing? Come, let's go out, let's go hang out. And Bola says, okay, no problem, let's go. They reach there, next offers Bola drugs, right? And Bola says yes or no. So that is the inciting incident. If Bola says yes, you are now moving to another part of the story. Do you understand what I mean? Yes. So that particular incident, if Bola says, if Bola says yes or no, is what tells us the next part. Because if he says yes, it means that there's a lot of, it means that he's going to start taking drugs, right? Yes. But then if he says no, it means that he won't do it anymore. Am I correct? Yes. So let's say Bola says yes to next. Bola takes this drugs and we've entered what? The second part of the storytelling. See how we built our story from just the idea stage. I don't know if anybody understands. You don't understand? Okay, what part don't you understand?
If she says no, that means she will not take it anymore. But am I managing?
Like if somebody produces her into drugs, she now said no. If she says no now, her mind can still change that she will say yes later.
Beautiful, that's beautiful. So her mind can still change, that's fine. I mean, sometimes you can do 2-3 times, but I'm just saying at the point of the inciting incident. So when she says no, nothing has really changed now, Abi. But I'm saying that if that character says yes, that is the inciting incident, because that's when things start to change in the character's life. So let's take your story of revenge, right? So say we have two families, two feuding families. And then imagine that one family has a boy, one family has a girl, right? And for some reason, say maybe they meet at an airport. They meet at an airport, right? Exchange numbers. That is an inciting incident. They meet at an airport, they exchange ideas. Maybe the boy calls her and says, "Hi, do you want to hang out?" They hang out. That is an inciting incident because things have now started to change. And you know that if they agree to hang out, or maybe even fall in love, it's going to affect the conflict of both families. So things have changed. So this inciting incident moves you from one stage to another stage. Do you get me now? Yes. So let's go back to our drug abuse story. So after this character has said yes, right? The character starts behaving differently. Maybe she starts talking back at your teachers and parents, or you're no longer concentrating in class. You come late to class. Sometimes you don't even come to school at all because you're taking things that should not affect you. If you didn't take that, it wouldn't affect you. It would make you not come to class. Yes. So let's say while we are doing all of this, so while Bola is doing all of this, maybe he meets another character. Or let's say Max, right? So while in the club, something else happens. Maybe they fight. And Bola loses his hand. Do you get? That's how things can change. So you take your characters from one level to another level. Why are you calling? Am I boring? No. Are you sure I'm not boring? Yeah. Okay. So in Blood Sisters, what happened? Kola was beating Kola was beating Sarah, and because of that, Sarah said, "I don't want to marry you again." And because Kola has too much ego, he goes to meet her and said, "Why would you say you don't want to marry me again?" One thing leads to another. They kill Kola. Yes, now. Now what happened in Blood Sisters? They kill Kola. Exactly. So that's the second act of your story. When we have a lot of conflicts, that is the second act of your story. Do you understand? So when you're writing, you have three acts. After we make this, we say this earlier. When you're writing, you have three acts. Your first act is the beginning, second act is the middle, and the third act is what? The resolution or the end. So in the beginning, you introduce your characters, introduce the things that are going to change the inciting incidents. In your second act, you introduce conflicts between your characters. And then in your third act, you introduce a resolution. So remember that in our drug abuse story, in our first act, we have the inciting incidents where Bola meets Mex, right? We introduce both characters. We tell everybody who Bola is. And then in the second act, what happens? Bola goes to the club with Mex and maybe loses his hand. Right? Or something crazy happens at the club. So who can tell me anything else that can happen to Bola in this second act? Let me see if you're following. You can find love. Yeah? Sorry. You see, police can arrest them in the club. Yes?
You can let them become a body.
You can, no, that is the resolution. That is for the third act. Sorry, you want to act at me. Okay, we never reach. So we're saying that in the second act, things that can happen to Bola, he can lose his ambition, he can find love, he can lose his identity. Sorry? He can even lose his life, but we don't want Bola to lose his life now. We don't want Bola is our protagonist, so we're not sure we want him to lose his life yet. Let's just teach him a little issue. A that we lose his life. You get things like that. So now we reach the third act of the story. And it's in this third act of the story that we get to resolve all of the conflicts that we built over time. And then there's something called the setup and the payoff. So this setup, you set up these things from the beginning, say you set them up in the first act, or you set them up in the second act, just so that you can pay them off in the third act. And what I mean is that, for instance, if you want Bola to be seen say you want him to be seen as a kind person, from the beginning you're already showing us how maybe Bola is nice to kids, or he helps somebody cross the road. That is how to set up a character. And maybe at the end you see that good thing that he did paid off. Maybe it was somebody that he helped earlier that helped lead him through this ordeal that he's facing. Should I take that again?
No, yes,
I'll take that again. So I'm talking of setup and payoff, right? Setup is, let's say for instance, we want Bola to be seen as a kind person, right? And maybe Bola helps somebody in this first act, or even in the beginning of the second act. He helps somebody. So maybe in school, he helped provide materials to a boy or a girl in his class. And while they are in the club, as maybe Bola is about to get beaten or something, that person saves him. That is the setup and the payoff. So that, because if you don't set up this thing now, if it just happens that somebody saved him from nowhere, it feels like a coincidence, and we don't really like having things feel like coincidences in films. That's why you have these rules that we try to follow. So now at the third act, what will happen at the third act? Bola could get clean. He could meet somebody that would, change his life, take him to. Sorry? Sorry? A rehabilitation center. So that is the resolution we are talking about. And payoff. Set up and payoff.
I don't want to guess something again.
Okay.
According to explanation, you know that most of the Indian movies, so it's somebody with, like, they will set the person up, and at the same time they will pay the person to go and save the person from that danger. So I want to get that payoff. That payoff, is it the person that saved that person from that danger? Because I don't really get this thing.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that, okay, you gave an example about somebody who is being saved at the end, and maybe we met that person earlier. And so that is the setup. You've told the audience that this person is in the story, so that if you bring him later, they will not be confused. Do you understand?
Answer to the question you asked. Looking at the film, Blood Sisters, according to what she said, if you have watched the film, after the guy was killed, then in the process of the girls hiding and running helter-skelter, they get connected to the friend of the guy. And then the friend asks, and the girl, Sarah, was able to tell the friend that the guy is an abuser. Go and make your findings. And the guy went back to meet the past girlfriends of the guy, brother. And it was discovered that in actual fact, he is a big-time abuser. So you see the setup. He has done it before. And then, when he was killed, the reason why he was killed was revealed to us, though through flashback. Do you understand that?
Yes.
So that is set up and paid.
Thank you so much. So do you understand it better now? Yes. You understand it better? I beg madam, whether I can even take over at this point. Yeah, and I love it. Thank you so much for helping out. So, is that understood then? Yes. Can I move on? Yes. Okay. So now we've reached what the resolution, which is the third act. Now we're talking about Bola. So Bola could go to what area? Return center. Bola could find love with even his parents. So his parents would think back and say, oh, maybe it's the way we treated him, maybe we did not handle this properly. You get? So that is all resolutions. So as someone said, Bola could find love. It could even be the love that helped him change, things like that. So that is what resolution. But a third act doesn't then mean that everything will be finalized. Sometimes we have open endings. Sometimes things are not even, we don't even see the end to end of things. So the third act is really resolution and not the proper end of things. So that is just the first phase of things. All these things that we talked about is just under content development. We've not even started producing this film of ours. You know what I mean? So now this is a bit of what I just told you is a bit of how content development goes. So sometimes we could write, so the film I'm currently working on, we've written up to 15 drafts, and we are still working on it. Because for every draft, the story becomes better. For every draft, you show another writer or you show a development person and they say, oh, this is what is missing, this is what we think can happen to make it better. And then you go back to write. You can never be too tired of developing your idea if you want to reach where Hollywood is. If you want to be like the Moab Vodus, you want to be like the Moses the Battlebeds of the world, you want to be like the Hollywood guys. Who's your favorite actor? What? Me, right? Begonia is your favorite actor. Is it Begonia? I can hear. Oh, Begonia is your favorite actor. Sorry? I can't really hear anybody. Please like this. Zubi Michael. You know Zubi Michael is currently one of my fields, right? Wow. This thing I'm going to shoot now. Like I said, sometimes you write a script, not to 15 times, 20 times. But the standard is really 3 drafts. That's the industry standard. The first draft, second draft, and third draft. So this first draft, you've written it, you probably send it out to the director or the development executive. So for instance, I am the development executive, right? I can tell you what is wrong with your story, I can tell you where it's not working, I can tell you how to make it work. Do you understand? However, after this ideation stage, so you have your ideas, you've written your script. The next thing you want to do is what pre-production. In fact, here's what I usually do with my content. At the point where it is almost ready, I invite a marketing team, especially for commercial titles. And when I mean commercial titles, I mean, so there are different types of titles. Some movies will go to the cinemas, some will go to festivals, some will go to YouTube channels and streaming platforms. Some will go to Netflix. Netflix is streaming platform. Some will go to Showmax, Prime. You know, those are all streaming platforms. Exactly. So the movies that we call commercial are those that go to these streaming platforms and cinemas, especially cinemas. Those are more commercial titles. And then there are movies like Olutore, they'll go to cinemas. They'll go to festivals. Some movies go to festivals, some go to cinemas and then streaming platforms. Sometimes those films that go to festivals also end up on the streaming platform because the streaming platforms buy them. Okay, and that's another money. So are you considering becoming a filmmaker? So now we've reached the pre-production process. Or rather, like I said, personally sometimes I like to invite the marketing team when the script is almost ready. So what the marketing team does for you is they tell you why your products will sell. In fact, they tell you if your product can sell. Because you have to understand that from my end, I am more of a creative. So these marketing guys are the ones that tell you, are the ones that look at what you have. Am I going too far? Am I going too far? Okay. So these marketing guys are the ones that will tell you whether your film will sell or not. And they'll tell you how to improve on it. They'll tell you, okay, your film looks like this film, but here's how you can make it different. Here's how you can do it that people will want to go watch it at the cinemas. And then maybe they can bring in sponsors. So for instance, example of sponsors could be GT Bank. Maybe GT Bank wants to sponsor a film, right? Or a car company, say Benz, wants to sponsor a film, right? Yes, please. So like I said, the sponsorship side of things, 10 minutes I'm prepared. So now someone will just give me help for this please. And I'll just carry my help to my company. Yeah? Thank you so much. 10 minutes I came prepared. Okay, so I'll speak of sponsorship. So here's how, what's your name? Patience. So I want you to listen to this. This is also a sponsorship and investment experience as well. So during the scripting part of things, we meet our marketing guys and then they go meet sponsors. Right? So these sponsors can say, maybe we meet a brand that sponsors cars or a brand that a car brand. So let's say we meet Benz. Benz can say, okay, how do you think we can work with you? And we can say, okay, there's a scene in this, we can say, okay, the cars that the characters will drive can be Benz. And of course, even if the character has to drive Benz, it means that the character is a rich character. I mean, you will not give Benz to somebody that does not have money, right? Or maybe it could be a thing where the character wants to show that, my level don't change, that now they big kid. You go and buy Benz. So that is sponsorship. So for that sponsorship, what they could do is sometimes they give us money, or they'll just say, okay, I'll sponsor with my cars, and then you will come to shoot it in my company. So we see, let us sometimes see names of actual companies. So they're sponsoring that film. When you see things like that.
I have two questions to ask. The characters in the film, like let's say I'm doing a role of eating and that's everything. Like the owner of the frame, is it one that is going to sponsor me or I myself am going to do that? And secondly, why is it that most times, whenever we are watching, let's say, Nigeria movie, you always get the next part? Why can't you actually that you see? You think, no, this has going to happen. No. Like, think of your four people that are like, bring an idea of what will happen. You won't even know where it's going to end. But Nigeria movie, what will happen? Maybe the girls don't like the guy, but now, American movie, Indian movie, like blockbusters that you see, you be like, it's really impressive. I'm not saying that Nigerian movie are not good or something, but you always get a lot of things happening.
Which Nigerian movies have you been watching?
The one, particularly with, I like Nigerian. I like Nigerian.
On Yoruba,
Yeah. Even from English movie, The General's Wife. That movie is
but you know that. Okay, what's your first question? Let me ask you the first question and then answer the second.
this movie sponsor the food, one of the main characters, the video of the movie.
So that's the production. I'll get there.
Okay, keep on.
But for your second question, but I've seen Hollywood films where I can even guess from beginning to end now. Yeah. So that's why we are all there. If you want to become a film, that's why all these processes are important. Sometimes people skip these processes, and if they skip these processes, then it shows. Right? I told you that I'm currently working on a film where I'm written up to, or where I've had to, as a development executive, lead these writers through 15 drafts and more. Some people do not have the patience to do that. Because this film has been ongoing for like, 2-3 years. Some people do not have the patience and the finance to do this. Do you get? And these movies they are watching, they are very low budget films. Right? No, they are not budget films. These films they are watching, Yoruba films, they are low budget films, they are not budget films. The highest big budget films we've had from sort of like the Yoruba industry has been what King of Thieves. King of Thieves, right? So did you guess everything that was going to happen? I actually guessed. King of Thieves. Wait, so you guess people wait now. You guess King of Thieves and you did not guess Thor. I guess Thor.
I guess one of particular film.
You guessed that one. You guessed that one. Okay, but I also guessed what's called Spider-Man. I guessed Okay, here's the challenge too. Please go and watch my film on YouTube. It's called Otana. Yes. Watch it. Tell me if you guess from beginning to end. So usually we would not have hello, you can continue. Should I stop here? So usually we didn't used to have development executives like myself, right? But this is a new thing that we're trying to do and help the industry. Okay, the industry is currently at a very critical point, and we're trying to take it from where it is to higher heights. So don't worry, we'll be doing things that you don't guess. Okay, so where was I? Who can remind me? Where was I? So sometimes sponsorship can come in form of money. Sponsorship can be, okay, I'm going to give you 10 million naira and sorry. Okay, sponsorship can be, I'm going to give you 10 million naira and you do this for me. I'm going to give you 10 million naira. You put my brand in your field. That's sponsorship. Now there's also investment. Investment is, I'll give you 10 million naira and get a particular amount of share from when the film makes money. You get? So maybe the entire budget of the film is, say, 50 million naira to shoot the film from beginning to the end, 50 million naira. say 50% of the shares, right? So sometimes people also invest in films. And so, for instance, if I wanted to direct a film, I could say, okay, since I'm directing this film, you pay me a certain amount of money. And you say, okay, no, I don't have that money. And I say, okay, so you pay me in equity. Equity is, I'll take a particular share when the film has made money, but I will not collect money now. So maybe usually we are paying the directors 1 million naira. I could value my equity at 10 million naira because you're not paying me now. Do you understand?
Yes.
Have I lost you at any point?
No.
Is there anybody that does not understand? I really want you to understand this because this is the business part of filmmaking. And not a lot of filmmakers know these things, I'm telling you. So after getting sponsors, you know that, okay, I'm going to do a budget, I'm going to now enter pre-production. So during pre-production is where you do planning. Yes, please. No, I don't answer, I don't finish answering your question. I'll answer it. Is it that's a question?
Now, what if the money you spend on the expenses is more than the money you get for your income?
But the way the industry has grown down, you get your money back. You get your money back because of the way the industry has grown. If you follow this process I'm telling you, if you want to look on a corner, you will not collect your money. This process I'm telling you now are very important. Right? So if you follow all these processes, I can bet you that you get your money back and get nice. Do you understand? So now we've entered pre-production, right? See, we are making a film now, right? So what do you want to do? We are making bonus or deal,
Yes.
right? We are currently making bonus or deal. So we are done with the ideation stage, we are done with the content development. We have even invited our marketing team to look at the script, and they told us that, okay, we are going to give you a few cars, we are going to sponsor with a few houses, but I want the name of my brand in your film. And then we found a way to write it in the film so that you don't see it flashing in your eyes and say, oh, these people, they really sponsored this film. You know that things like that you watch, you just see sponsorship everywhere. That's poor planning, right? So if I'm sponsoring your film, if I'm sponsoring, or if someone is sponsoring my film, I'll write the script in a way that you will not know. I mean, you will notice that that brand is there, but it will not be in your face. So as to distract away from the story. There's one film like this that I watched, right? And they brought out the drink from the fridge and said, oh, this is the new quality. Wow, tastes so nice. I'm like, are you doing adverts inside here? It's just so obvious. Do you understand? So things like that, if I were the one handling it, I'll say, okay, so how about we just bring some drink from the fridge, pours it in a cup, and then offers somebody else. That is, you will know that that's a new drink, but it does not overstep into the story. That is why the content development part of it is very important. So now we've entered pre-production. See, as I'm taking so much time on the content side, it's tell you that I'm really, content is my baby. Every content, the position that I serve, every content is my baby. So I make sure that it is well done. So now pre-production. The pre-production part is where you start planning, you start calling actors. So who do you think Bola should be? Who do you think can play Bola? Who said it? Who do you think can play Bola? Look at all the list of actors we have in the industry now. Who do you think can play Bola? Yeah? In 25 years old, Bola is 25 years old, remember. Who do you think can play Bola? Who? That's it. Which no, but you cannot say 25 now. That's it. Come on now. I need somebody that can play to a 25-year-old. I'll look at these three options. Then I'll say, okay, my budget for this character is, in fact, I'll say, okay, I'm shooting for, I'll go through the numbers of the script, go through my script and say, okay, I can shoot this for a month, right? And then I'll say, okay, I have, for this character, I have 500,000 naira, right? This 500,000 naira, and I have 3 actors that I think can play this role. So who do you think is my first choice? Timmy. So maybe Timmy is my first choice. I go to Timmy and say, Timmy, I have this script, it's about this and that. Timmy, like, wow, I'm interested. I sent Timmy the script. So what I'll do is I'll sign a contract first, an NDA first with Timmy, and say, you know what an NDA is? An NDA is basically a document. It's called a non-disclosure agreement. A non-disclosure agreement. If I'm sleeping, Jesus. You are sleeping? I said, let me drop my phone and go. Are you sleeping? No, ma. Are you enjoying the process? Yes, ma. Thank you. So a non-disclosure agreement is like an agreement that tells the other party not to tell other people of your project. It says you cannot use this particular script without my permission. You cannot share this idea with somebody else. So basically, when you say keep a secret between both of you. So that non-disclosure agreement will cover you. So in case that person breaches the contract, you can take that person to court. There have been a few cases like that, and you will win. That's why these processes are important. Now I sign this contract with Timini, or I sign this NDA with Timini, and Timini says, Timini goes through the script. I'll also send him the script. He goes through the script and says, oh, I like it, I want to play. I want to act in this film. And maybe Timini's manager says, you only collect 5 million naira. I'll say, come on now, you don't have 5 million naira. Maybe I beg Timini and Timini says, oh, the least he can do is 2 million naira. Because Timini is a big boy, yeah. So the least he can do is 2 million naira. And me, I don't have 2 million naira. I'll go to my other options and speak to them. So maybe Zuri Michael or Michael Polari says, okay, I'll do this for at least 1 million naira. That's what I can do. And I know that I cannot get a better price, especially because of the actors that I went to meet. Because these are probably what B-list actors. If I even go to meet an A-list actor, they'll probably charge higher. And then maybe I'll have to look back at my budget and say, okay, I had to increase this, or I'll still go around and shop for another actor. Do you understand how these processes are coming together now? Okay. So after getting Timini, I'll go to other characters, probably get Timini's parents, I'll go to Donlade, maybe I'll go to Toyin Abraham, and say, please come and play the parents of this child. I share an NDA, share contracts, and then they are on board. I've locked down my actors for this film, right? Yes. Then I'll go to, at this point now, I'll start going to the crew. So the crew members will then be, so maybe I'm the producer of this film. I'll look for a director of photography, look for a gaffer. Somebody says the director of lighting, that person is a gaffer, right? And look for every other crew member. At this point, I'll also bring in my post-production team. So post-production guys are the guys that work on your sound. They are the ones that edit the film, So I'll start talking to them from the beginning of that project. So those are the processes that some people miss. Some people will finish just a film before they'll go and meet an editor. That's not how it works. So that's why your film doesn't come out well. You have to start these processes from the beginning. Person goes to a table and talk to the people there. Sometimes you go to people who say, no, please don't use my house. Don't use my house. Come on now. Your parents say, please don't use my house. Sometimes you make money from these things. So the installation scouts will go to all these places, look for these houses, tell us their prices, and then we'll lock down these things. So that when we go to shoot, we will not have a problem. So there are two things. There's a location manager and a looks for the location for you. Then the location manager will help you manage that location and make sure that you do not have problems on that location. Sometimes have you ever seen us shooting on the road? Yeah. Sometimes when we are shooting on the road, we face a lot of harassment. Of money there. They say the post camera is in need of money. But truly there's not a lot of money in this industry. The way that they do. So where are we now? Pre-production. We've locked down everything. We even have the plan A, plan B, plan C in case some of our plans do not work. We can say, okay, we can do this in case this doesn't work. So after this pre-production process, we now enter principal photography, which is the main production. I forgot to mention that during this pre-production process, we also call it your costume. They start making costumes. You know, we give them an ample time. Maybe pre-production process can take months, even years, sometimes days, depending on what you're going to do. It really depends on the project. So during pre-production, the director's treatment, whatever treatment that the director has used, the director's treatment comprises of costume, color grading, things like that. I feel like, am I boring you? Or are you listening? Yes. One house. One house. So during the production process, we have the principal photography. So then during this process that you see us shooting, sometimes shoot on the road, we go to people's houses to shoot, sometimes we build sets. And then after that principal photography, we move to the post-production part of things. Now, it's doing this post-production that we start editing and saying, okay, this scene should be like this, put this sound like this, they have an entire sound design team, and all of that. And then after that, we have the marketing proper. And in fact, marketing begins when your scripting begins. Sometimes before we even release film, you've seen the film, you've seen it online, I mean. Sometimes they say, for instance, this film was coming down to Lagos before or Brotherhood. Who has heard of Brotherhood? Is that not asking? Okay, Blood Sisters. Before Blood Sisters came out, or even Sugar Rush. Okay, two. Oh, beautiful. So my boss is currently shooting Sugar Rush 2 in South Africa. Clap for me, please. Do you know Sugar Rush? Yes. You know Sugar Rush, right? Yes, they done the part 1, they are currently shooting the part 2. But before this part 2, now that they are shooting, people are talking about Sugar Rush, you know what I mean? And this is what pre-production, or rather this is production period, they are currently shooting. And people are already talking about it. So that's how to start your marketing early. So that when it comes out now, everybody can go watch it at the cinemas. So I want to do a little bit of testing now. If I wanted to market Bolas Audio, what do you think my marketing plan might be? So during marketing, we have posters, we have we shoot videos, you know, there's behind the scenes. So what do you think? Let's start marketing process of Bolas Audio. What do you think the first step of this marketing process will be? Sorry? Your hands, please.
What did you say?
Can you hear?
You said something before you said.
So I said, what do you think the marketing process of Bolas Audio would be? Not spoken still, I want to hear your voice.
You budget the amount of money they are going to use for the movie.
For the marketing process.
Yes.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So let's say the amount of money we have for the marketing of Bolas Audio is 5 million naira. I mean, let's say that we kept 5 million naira somewhere that are going to market, they're going to use to market Bolas Audio. Yes. So the first step is what keeping some money aside for the marketing. Please clap for him.
A cost-effective way of marketing a film could be like sharing it on social media or getting like influencers to like make ads, that adverts about the film, talking about like little about the film and why people should watch out for the movie.
Beautiful. Please clap for her. Oh, I'm not wasting my time. I'm so happy. Yes, please.
Before you share it as art on social media and the likes, you have to send it to the marketing team in order to know the wrong in it and to edit it for advertising.
Nice. Okay, so that's a good point, but this should even come before we even give money. That's a very big good point. So, but usually the marketing team would be the one to tell us that these are the process. So we can say, okay, this is our plan for this, and then they'll come in and say, yeah, this works. For instance, if I'm currently working on, I don't know the marketing strategy for it. I met the marketing department and they said, okay, this part works, but we have concerns with this part because of the way you want to sell the film. We don't think it's the best approach. Why don't we do this? So then they will come back and say, this is our plan for Bolas Audio, right? So they come with a plan, then we keep some money aside, right? Then one of the plans would be social media activations, right? Where we call in influencers, probably all these TikTok people, you know, beautiful. Another person.
Now your location.
The location for the marketing. Okay. Yeah, so that is also correct because if you want to do what's it called? Actually, that's a very beautiful point because if you want to market, hello, one house. So the locations idea is a very beautiful one because if we wanted to put out posters, right? You have to map out locations. You have to say, okay, for instance, you wanted to market to an Abraham film. Who knows Toyin Abraham? You know that you have to look at places like Ibadan, because she's from that area and she has lots of fans around there. You know that most of your energy will go towards those places. But now that our lead actor is Timini is an island boy, right? So we know that some of his fans will be around that place. So we'll be targeting places like Ikoyi, Lekki, that's where our energy will go into, right? But then also because we have that cast like say to Abraham and Olumade. Where are Olumade's fans? So they also have the yes. So where do you think if Olumade is in this, where do you think will also market for him? So who else?
You are budgeting. If you want to do advertisement, this is not your budgeting. That means you use for your a lot of money in your budgeting now. You have to use posters. You know, show videos. If you have a lot of money for the project, you can use those for projects. You don't have to budget. So you can use posters.
Yeah, that's true. So So I've seen low cost films. I've seen low cost films where is it the Starboy here? Are you the Starboy around here?
Yes.
They're Starboy here. Okay. So what he's saying is that if you have hello, one house. What he's saying is that if you have enough money, if you're making a big film, you could do those big billboards, I mean. But then if you don't have lots of money, you could just I see people who go around with posters saying that this is what I think on YouTube. There are people like that. So that's also an aspect of marketing. Marketing doesn't always have to. So when you're thinking of marketing, you have to think of how to reach people with little money. If you don't have a lot of money, you think of how to cut your coats around it. For me, when I did my film like this, I have YouTube Montana. I did more of social media activations. I went to people brands that I've worked with, and said, oh, this is something I have coming out, and then was able to fly that way. Okay?
The young lady that answered my question when I did my session, can you please step forward, please? We all agree that she did very well, lately. Yes, she took down everything precisely. Congratulations. Keep it up. And if you decide to do it, I know you will make it very easy. Because your attention to details are very good. Congratulations.
We'll share our snacks. We can take pictures, then we'll leave. Okay?
Okay, welcome back everybody. One house. One love. Yay, I see everybody is back in. Thank you so much for coming back. So I want to answer the question you had. Or you have. That question is a good question. Do you still remember it? It was about investment. Yes.
How do the investors get their money in the movie investment?
Okay. So the question is, how do investors recoup or get back their money? So for instance, you have 10 million naira, you want to make more money, so you bring it to us and say, I want to invest in your film, right? So she starts seeing how you could collect your money back and then even get a share. So say for instance, I have a budget for the film and everything it cost me to make that film is 100 million naira. Right? So, and then you're bringing, say, 20 million naira. So 20 million naira from 100 million naira is how many percent? 20%, right? Yes. 20 million naira of 100 million naira is 20%, right? It's 20%, right? Okay. So whoever you're investing your film in will say, okay, so you're bringing in 20 million naira, which means you're going to have a 20% return on investment. That's ROI. Abi? Good. But then they tell you that the first thing we're going to do is take this film to the cinemas. And after the cinemas, we'll take it to streaming platforms. Abi? So maybe you go to the cinemas and at the cinemas you make, say you make 200 million naira at the cinemas. Anybody who puts in anybody who puts money into the film. So first of all parties are going to have a contract, an agreed contract, where every party will sign, right? And this contract is being prepared by lawyers. So if you want to be a lawyer, there's space for you in the entertainment industry. You can be an entertainment lawyer. All your artists, Davido, Burna Boy, Odunlade, I know Odunlade's lawyer, right? They all have entertainment lawyers. So these lawyers are the ones that draft contracts for them. So both lawyers will draft contracts, come together, take a look at the terms and agreements, sign, and then they'll put their money into the film. So you go to the cinemas and then I say this movie makes 100 million naira, or it makes 200 million naira. That's double the investment, Sabi? So first of all, the first thing that happens is the people who put money will first recoup their money. As money comes in, so for every 1,000 naira, that investor will take 20%. That's half of 200 naira. So for the 200 million naira that comes in, the investor will take 20%. And that is only cinemas. 20% of 200 million naira is what? 40 million naira. So that investor has made 40 million naira from the cinemas. I'm just throwing numbers, but sometimes it's lower. Is there a problem? Do you understand what I'm saying? Is there a problem? Are you sure? You have a question? Is it in line with what I'm saying? Okay.
So my question is, you said what, like for example, let's say you want to make a movie, Bola's Audio, and said you wanted Timini to be Bola, to act as Bola. So let's say you and Timini agree that okay, we are going to pay you 1 million naira cast in this movie. Is it possible that, for example, now you as the executive producer, whoever, marketer or whatever, you foresee that this movie is going to like generate, let's say, 100 million naira profits, and then the movie became such a success that it went above your expectation, like it made like 150 million. Is it possible that Tinini would want to collect more, like instead of the 1 million, maybe instead want to collect 1.5 million? Is it possible, or is there an agreement that says once you have collected, once you have been paid 1 million, you can't go above that?
That's a beautiful question. Okay, you know, can you write that question down so I finish with her and then I go in? Okay. So like I was saying, so sometimes these terms, when it comes to investment, sometimes these terms can say, I'll collect 20, sometimes you can say that after cinemas and after recouping your money, you start doing a lower percentage. There are different types of terms, depends on what all parties agree on. So sometimes you can say that you get that percentage in perpetuity. So in perpetuity means forever. Till you die, till that film continues making money, you continue eating money from it. That's a lot of investment, don't you agree? That's a lot of investment, don't you agree? But then sometimes it can be capped. You can say after 5 years, you will stop making money from this film because you've collected all your investment and you probably collected times 10 of even that investment. That is one side of it. Have I answered your question? You're asking how we can recoup money now. So I'm saying that you take the film to the cinemas, whatever this, first of all, you have an agreement with whoever you are putting money into, Abi. Then you say, this is the percentage I'm going to be collecting. Let's say that percentage is 20%. Right? So you value a film at 100 million naira. The budget for to make that film is 100 million naira. And I bring 20 million million naira. That's 20% of 100 million naira. So which means I'm going to be getting 20%. 20% of whatever that film makes. You take that film to the cinemas and it makes 200 million naira, right? Your investor is going to collect 20%. And yeah, cinemas get their money from the tickets. So yes, cinemas get money from it. If you want to watch a film at the cinema, first of all, you're going to pay a ticket, say 2,000 naira, 3,000 naira. 2,000, I think it's from 2,000 to 3,000 naira, right? Right? Yes. Or 1,500, depending on the cinema, depending on the offering. Then you buy popcorn. But that popcorn money does not go to filmmakers, it goes to the cinema itself. Yeah. Right? So this 200 million I'm talking about comes from ticket sales. Ticket sales, and sometimes people who buy out the entire cinema hall for a day and say, I'm going to pay this amount of money to watch this film, and I don't want anybody to enter the hall, I only want myself. There are people that do that. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yeah, my colleague Jordan did that for himself. So people do that. And that's how cinemas make money. They make money from, this one make money from different, but then I'm just going to focus on the film aspect. Okay? So the ticketing, so that's ticket sales. So say 1 million people go to watch the film at 2,000 naira, that's 1 million naira now. Abi? 500 people go to watch a film at the rate of 2,000 naira. That's how much? 1 million naira. So that's how we make money at cinemas. So, and from there, the cinemas can make 50, 100, 300 million, really depending on how well it's being marketed, on how well that particular film is being marketed. You have to understand that you can have like 10 films showing at the cinemas, right? But it's only the one that you invested in that will make you money. Is that clear? So you're not making money from unless you invested in all the films. So as an investor, you're making money from the film you invested in. Okay, let me answer her question, then I'll answer you. Okay, all right, that's your question. Okay, so you said that imagine Tigini charges me 1 million naira, and in my head I'm thinking I'm going to make 100 million naira, and then I end up making more. Will I give Tigini? So it really depends on the contract. If I sign a contract with Tigini to pay him of 1 million naira, I don't owe him any money, unless maybe I feel like. So Timmy cannot hold me to ransom because we signed contract and I have paid him. Unless this is an equity statement. Remember I said that for equity, you could give your services and then you're paid later. Right? So we didn't, sometimes contracts come in different perspectives. So sometimes there are contracts you can sign that say that, okay, I'm going to collect 5%. Okay, I remember that personally, there was a script that I wrote, and my equity is 5%. So if that film goes to the cinemas, I'm going to make 5% of whatever they make at the cinemas. Do you understand?
When you say 5%, is it net or gross?
So net from the producer's fee. So but that's me taking from the producer's fee. But sometimes it now depends on who is making this contract, and so you can fight for yourself, fight for your contract. Do you understand? So for instance, I can sign a contract that says I'm going to take 5% from so I'm saying I can sign a contract that says this project is being this particular content is being projected to make 100 million naira, and if it makes around 100 million naira, if it makes around 100 million naira, I'll collect 5%. If it makes more, I'll collect 7%. There are contracts like that. So that's why you need to have an entertainment lawyer, because these entertainment lawyers will fight for you. And you need to be smart as well. I mean, you're very smart. Okay, have I answered your question? Yes, so I'm saying that I could, if if my contract stipulates me to give him more, I will. But if my contract says pay to me 1 million naira, and maybe out of the goodness of my heart, I made more, and I think that to me put in so much effort, I can give to me more. So there's a film that came out in the cinema, King of Thieves. King of Thieves, King of Thieves made around 300 million naira. Yeah, he made 300 million naira plus. That's the cinemas below. And so all of you that are running away from the next from film industry, shape are reconsidering your stance now. Right. Okay. So King of Thieves made around 300 million naira at the cinemas. And guess what? The producers called all the crew members together and gave them more money. That is not because the contract stipulated, but because they made a lot of money and they felt like every other person should benefit from it. Yeah. It's not for okay, let me take that question.
Or let's say the movie is out and it was successful, you didn't profit on the movie, they are going to pay them more. You sign an agreement again that this is when I'll pay your money. Let's say when the movie was successful, you gave them their money, or you take money from your own pocket and give it to them.
Okay, that's why you have a budget. So your budget stipulates how much you're going to pay people, right? So for instance, if you say you're going to pay 1 million naira, you should already have your money. You have your money, you pay people, they're going to bribe you. Have your money, pay people, but then there are people that if their money is too much, you pay them in equity. That's where the equity comes in. So you can have different types of contracts with different people, depending on the resources you have on ground. Okay? So, okay.
No more questions, please. You can meet afterwards.
Afterwards, please. Thank you.